great compassion, the founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean. To you, the one gone to thusness I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality. To the Dharma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts. To you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all three ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms, and all aspects. With supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, mirage, the flame of a lamp. I see a drop of dew or a bubble. A dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing. Subdue the foe of false and be delivered from samsara, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. From Tushita's hundreds of God's protectors heart, to tip of his fresh, pure, white, heaped curd like cloud, all of Sangdrapa, Dharma's omniscient king, pray come to this place with your disciples. In space ahead, on lion throne, lotus and moon, venerable gurus smile brightly with delight. Pray stay hundreds of eons to spread doctrine as supreme merit. Feel for my mind of faith, your wisdom mind sees full range of knowables. Your eloquent speech adorns fortunate ears. Your beauteous body, fame, glory, outstanding. Homage to you, worthwhile to think of, hear, and see. Pleasant offerings of water, various flowers, fragrant incense, light, perfume, and so on. Oceans of offerings set out and envisioned, offered up to you, supreme field of merit, non-virtue committed with body, speech, and mind, which I have heaped up since beginningless time, especially what has contradicted three vows. Each I confess from my heart with strong regret. In time of strife you strove to learn and practice, shunned eight mundane concerns, made life essence-full. O protector from depths of our hearts, we rejoice in your powerful great deeds. Venerable gurus from love and wisdom, clouds densely massed in your Dharmakaya sky, pray loose a rain of vast profound Dharma on fields of disciples just as needed. May whatever virtue that I've here gathered bring benefit to all beings and doctrine, and may it make venerable Lord Sangha's essential teaching specially shine forever. Mig say where Chen raise it, dream can pay one po jam pel yam, do of body, speech, and mind. O glorious and precious root Guru, pray take seat of lotus at my heart, caring for me with your great kindness. Bestow attainments common and supreme. O glorious and precious root Guru, pray take seat of lotus at my heart, caring for me with your great kindness, until supreme awakening remains steadfast. Homage to the exalted three jewels. Thus have I heard at one time the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajagriha on Vulture Mountain, together with the great assembly of monks and the great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of the countless aspects of phenomenon called profound illumination. At that very time, the superior Vishara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, was looking perfectly at the practice of profound perfection of wisdom, perfectly looking at the emptiness and inherent existence of the five aggregates also. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said to superior Vishara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, how should a child of the lineage trained wish to engage in the practice of profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke, and the superior Vishara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, replied to the Venerable Shariputra as follows. Shariputra, whichever son or daughter in the lineage wishes to engage in the practice of profound perfection of wisdom should look perfectly like this, subsequently looking perfectly and correctly at the emptiness and inherent existence of the five aggregates also. Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form, form is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are empty, without characteristics. That is, they are not produced, do not cease. They have no defilement and no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visible form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object of touch, no mental phenomenon. There is no I element and so forth, up to no mind element, up to no element of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no cessation of ignorance, and so forth, up to no aging and death, and no cessation of aging and death. Likewise, there is no suffering, no origin, no cessation, and no path. No exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom. And because their minds have no obstructions, they have no fear. Passing utterly beyond error, they attain the final state beyond sorrow. All the Buddhas who reside in the three times by relying upon the perfection of wisdom become manifest and complete Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of the great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the equal to the unequal mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering since it is not false, should be known as the truth. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Tayata gate gate para gate para samgate bodhisoha. Shariputra, this is how Bodhisattva, a great being, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and said to Sphira, Vishara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, well said, O child of the lineage, so it is. The profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced exactly as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra, the Superior Vishara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, and the entire assembly, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, demigods, gandharvas, and others, were filled with admiration and highly praised what had been spoken by the Blessed One. In the Holy Supreme abode of the Dakinis, possessive clairvoyance and miraculous power, unwaveringly caring for practitioners and children, homage to the host of three places Dakinis. Tayata Om Gate Gate Para Samgati Bodhisoha. Through the power of the exalted three jewels speech, may all on the side of negativity such as the four Maras be stopped. May they become non-existent, may they be pacified. All enemies, obstructors, and hindrances, Shanti Kuriye Soha. The 80,000 parasites of obstructors pacified, free from adverse harmful conditions. May all be conducive and perfect auspiciousness.
Bring happiness and well-being here right now.
Sashi Boki Chukshi Eto Trangri Rabling Ji Ni
Good evening, everyone. Other morning, some second prayer. I'm waiting for you. This shows my body is here, that my mind goes to different place. It's good. Very great to practice this very will sharp weapon. Will sharp weapon. Then everybody set up the perfect motivation to benefit all sentient beings. In order to benefit all sentient beings, we need to power, ability that we don't have right now. Therefore, in benefit all sentient beings, therefore I'm going to listen to teaching, I'm going to practice, then always is very important. Then, how you say, then I think you are, here. Yeah, yes, yes. Yeah. Therefore, the purpose of practice is for transfer our mind, right? If your actions looks outside actions is very nice talky, nice action, then your mind is very say I want to do some those person to something, because he or she doesn't like me or he or she doesn't harms me. Therefore, I want to say very nice words, but show is also very nice action. But your mind thinks I want to do, shut down that person. There was a story. Maybe my English is not enough. The one time, one king of India, usually in India, most king have 2-3 wives. Then one king has 2 wives. Then one wife has no kid, one wife has a kid. They both have kid. The one other kid is very famous, very handsome, and this kid is very kid, very handsome. Everybody, also high family. Then then the one woman, she thought, or maybe other, wife have kid is very famous, very handsome, and very knowledgeable. Maybe when he become getting bigger, then my kids have nothing to do because he has better. My kids maybe not, they don't get any positions. Then she have very wrong thought. She thought I want to kill him. Then usually she take care of the kids. Then she talked nicely. Then she put the needles, the kid. Then finally the kid die because she want to kill. She doesn't kill them like that, But she put the needles, kid's body, boy's body. Then finally they killed because her motivation is because when he become big, my kids doesn't get any positions. They would just better. Then the king, the husband, they asked her, "Do you kill the another son?" She said, "No, I didn't kill." If she lie, right? She killed. Then she said, "If I lie, no. If I kill, it's choga ane ngarang puisha saya kade saya yung shows tamam jawro ane ngi choga ane drug seva shows drug ane ngara choga de nyamdo na sagola majuko nyamdo ane ma ane kaso bewaga tiri tamam tiri mamu jawres maramdo mitini wash bo khagda morang zuma mayimba pa baby shit ane lawres.
So she was trying to hide and saying that she didn't kill her, although she killed her. And she said, if I was lying, and then 뭐랑 가르쳐줬어?
되네 제요나.
뭐란데?
뭐랑기 초가 뭐랑기 부기샤 뭐랑기 사야 용어 쇼스. 근데 뭐랑 초가 안에 드루그 세워 쇼스. 나 근데 뭐랑 그 초가다 마신의 사고를 배워 쇼스.
So she said, if I were to lie, then may I be the one, to eat my own child's meat, And then she said, so when she said like that, then she to make to assert the king that she didn't kill, and then she also said many other things like other things she said was may her husband be killed by a snake, and then she said may she be buried alive with her husband, and like that. So that kind of many things she said if she had told him lie.
And then 다 뭐라 부인이 그래서 네 조언을 부지요 말이지. 부인이 맞게 잡았지. 조언을 부지요.
And so she had two children, and one of them was still in the stomach.
근데 다 부부들 깨게 다 뭐라기 아니 다 빠와마서 반로 침뱀버렸어.
And so then there was this customary in India, like during the time when you give birth and you're about to give birth to a child, you go back to your parents' house, and then you'll be cared by your parents while you're giving birth to your child. So anyway, she was on her way to go to spend time with her parents.
아니 다 저한테 다 잡아놨더니 다 잡아로나 이나 잘라켜 저한테 잘라대 키 근데 뭐란 게 보고치 잡라키 아니 지 좋아나키 아니 지 달라빠지네 건져 람가 침발했어.
So two children that that she had, and then the one who was still in the stomach, and so anyway she was traveling on the road from her husband's house to her parents' house.
아니 다 람가 판로죠 gond아질라 다 사야지 되네 데비가라야 아니 쇼게 야랑디 아니 초가다 부직 아니 드르그 깨담네 세상이랬어.
부직드레베.
부직 다 초가 아니 드르그 깨담네 세상이랬어. 다 뭐라도 부직라이로.
And so then anyway, so she was traveling with her husband in the night. They had to stop in some place in the night, in the forest, like a forest. And while they were sleeping in the night, the husband was killed by a snake. Husband and one of the son were killed by a snake. And so that was one of her, the promise that she made, right? When she, said that she didn't kill. So that was the result of telling lie and killing the other child, child of the other wife.
And 당근에 전에 빼면서 관계 좀 그랬을 때는 관계 전에 봐도 전에 근데 좋은 아프게 되고 밥 말려 먹고 다 사진에 끼워버렸어.
And while she was on the way, she had go through so much difficult time, and then she gave birth on the way, to her parents.
그러와 아니 대제네 되네 다 판도 사람과 추천보지 와들 추천보지로 와. 근데 뒤처리 봐게거든 다 보고서 뭐죠 말 뭐지 뭐죠 말아서 아니 보고지 대투조라 보니 투조라 하자 아니 보고지도 바로 봐지 아니 틀린다 뭐
직사잖아.
직사잖아 단 보지라
일하더라
뭐 보지 지켜로 보고지도 봐샤 아니 쳐도 봐샤 중앙도 투조 중앙도 봐샤 아니 뭐라 틀리네 쳐도 틀려가 답이 제거래 다 중앙도 봐주셔야 돼 보기는 티 이거가 아니 쳐도 보기는 다 뭐라지를 조용 그래서 지금 아니 대주니 아니 저도 뭐 봐말려 봐라 보기 쳐야 돼 아니 지체네 다 지벌 정서 말해서 아니 봐도 참말로 보기 봐주셔야 주지돼 아니 당근에 쇼기 산에 기치 말해서.
And so, and then she was traveling with her two children now, right? So one just the baby who was just born, and then the other one who was just able to walk. And then she got to the point where there was a big river. Then she had to cross the river, and she couldn't carry both of them at the same time. So she asked the one who can walk, to sit behind and stay behind. And she thought, she would first, take the small one and then put the small one on the other side of the river, and then we'll come and get the bigger one. And so while she was doing that, she crossed the river, and then she placed the little child on the river bank. And then when she came back, to get the other child gets so excited before she could get to him, he just started to cross the river himself. And then the river was, the water was so strong that he carried the child, and so the older child died. And then when she wanted to return back, to her younger one, then she saw there was this wolf, eating her younger one.
다 못 보니까 다 보고 차상 라 아니 좋아시 다못 빼면 가기 좀 어렸어.
So she went through so much difficult times because she lost her husband and she lost all her children.
근데 봐지면 가다 소주 나 파이 다 빠면 나려 가다 미강가 아니 뭐라가 나요서 사제들이야 다 도움 용 거요 미강가 데루르신데 그래서.
And then when she went back to her parents' house, And she saw so many people outside of her parents' house, and there was big smoke coming out of the house.
아니 티 양만 물음 됐다 그래서 가서 뭐 대포도서야 나뭐 아니 빠와면 강바다 빠와만 냠도 지네 맥서 오셔서 물음 돼서.
And then also one promise she made and earlier was that if she had lied, then may her parents be killed in the fire, and may her parents' house be burned by fire like that. So that also came true.
아니 뭐 반에 어떡하지? 와다 저런 빠와면 나다 빠와만 세상 가서 그냥 맥서 그래서다 맥한게 데려오지 샵대놓지 소리 되는 시원해서.
So the people gathering there was, because to see that, the fire has caught the house and the parents inside there. And so they were all gathering there, to help them, but they were all, burned and died already.
다 몰라야 다 파노나 백인도 삼이 다 내려오는데 다 먹는 전에 전에 짬면 거미 자대요, 들어와.
And then she, didn't have anywhere to go now. She doesn't have her parents anymore, and then her husband died also. So now she had no places to go.
아니 야한테 사진에 양뭐 좋아지도 그래서 사졌더니.
And then after some time, then she met with this person, who she married to.
야 권이 되네 다 냠도 전에 내버려 들어와 냠도 돼.
And so she lived with him for some time.
아니 뭐야 권이 보고 자네 아니 다 냠아지 보고 맞지고 가라 뭐 고잡네 보고 제대로 가라 좋아대 실로로 아니 차한테 나요 가라 아니 뭐 고잡셔다 아니 좋아대 도바사네야 곧도네 아니 나는 되네 진짜 바다 삼아들면 간지 보게 돼 세상을 말해서.
And so then when the husband was out, drinking, she closed the door, and the husband, when he came back, he doubted her, and he came in, thinking that somebody else might be there, so he beat her, and then he killed the child.
아니 보고 생각 다고 차는다 보고 됐어 보기 샤데 또 중중에서 도봐서 뭘다 도쳐 사줘 그랬어.
And then, he was still drunk and very angry, and so he killed the child, and he cut the meat, of the child, and cooked it, and then made her to eat.
와다 막뭐 물음식 자에 마스 팅이라고 대셔 그랬어.
So there was the other, promise or prayer that she, made, saying that if she were to lie, then may she have to eat her child's meat.
아니 되네 좋아대 딱 가지면 되는데 되네 좋아대 한테 좋아대 종을 해서 와한테 말안 되네 좋아대 종쇼 아니 좋아대 아니 사고라 베비 갑라야 아니 다 자가 루솔라야 좋아 좋나 아니 뒤쯤에 좋으면 야 냠도 베고 같은 루소지에서 봤어.
And then then again after some time this husband died, and then in that place there was the custom where if the husband were to bury, and then they will have to bury the wife together, even though she's alive, she will be buried alive together with her husband's corpse.
아니 두지 다뭐 사고라 냠도 베버려서.
And like that, they buried her also alive, with her husband.
다야 니만 뭐 물음식 자에 와서 뭐 좋아하는 냠도 봐 베버셔서.
So there was other prayer she made, right? If she were to lie, then may she be buried alive with her husband.
렌데사데 되니까 더도. 아니 되네 뒤가래 꾸막하지 오네 아니 다 자가 그냥 루솔라야 아니 지금 뭐 좋아하는 대념도 주세요 당기들이 내가 루솔더라 아니 꾸막하지 오네 야 뭐네 아니 이거 뭐 야 때문에서.
And until then, and again the custom was that when you bury somebody, you bury with their like precious jewels, the belongings of that person together, and then they will be able to enjoy it in their next life. That's kind of the custom. So anyway, so then she was buried with all these jewelry, precious things like gold, silver, and so forth. So that night there were these bandits or thieves. They know about that, so they dug the ground, to take away those precious things. But then they found her, she was still alive, and then the what do you call that? The head, the chief of the bandit, took her and married her again.
아니 대진이야 권인장도 가르되어 가라더니 네 좋아도 아버지였어요. 야 브라더는 다 좋아도 종소 말했어.
So this was again, he's a thief, right, bandit, and then later, after some time, him, and then he died. He was killed. You know.
근데 다 몰래 메시지를 먹는 전에 또 누가 들으면 뭐 좋아서 다 되니 뭐 거래 셈발로 오는데 되니 산지 좀 된데 뭐 가시 요 하고네 아니 산지 좀 된서 rab도 쇼 되니 로종치 냠내체네 근데 테라 다주마 더 많이 말했어.
So anyway, she went through all these difficulties in her life, you know, and that was the result of all this, you know, karma she created in the previous lives, right? So after that, then she, you know, heard about Buddha Shakyamuni. That was during the time of Buddha Shakyamuni. So she heard about him, the great teacher Shakyamuni, and so she went to look for him, and then she received teachings, and she, you know, because she has experienced all these sufferings. And she really, you know, did her practice very well, and she was able to achieve arhatship, you know, that very lifetime.
뭐 근데 이제 아니 대라 게로마 오발은 도체에서지 다 게로치 무시라 좋아해 말했지 주마.
And so then later she became very famous. She became the bhikshuni, you know, says the fully ordained nun, you know, Opala.
어 근데 이 맞아 딱 아주 간지 샘라야 두자 쌈니 샤와샤와에는 근데 레든 좀 보거든.
And so if we do anything, you know, with the bad motivation, then those can happen also.
어디다 따티기 렌데 계시고 렌데 계셔로.
So that's about the karma and their results.
Usually the history is very long, that you know, I mean very too short. If you talk about them, all of them, you maybe whole times go there. But this is not history. Usually we need to talk about it, history for cause and effect.
Mm-hmm.
They were very important to people can understand. You know, this is the times, Buddha's time. This can happen. Like that, therefore, very important. Doesn't matter if you outside show very nicely, nice talk, nice word, your mind think, oh, he doesn't like me, she doesn't like me, oh, I want to. Just, it's very bad. Okay? Now this text show, you know, right now we have happened, right? People doesn't listen for us. Looks people, you know, competition, like competition, you know. This kind, you know, we did this kind previous time. Now that people did for us. If you do again, then you have to always like that. Therefore, this just text to very, you know, push to mind. Therefore, anyway, like that, they're very important to. Even you show, you know, face a little bit, get angry, but your motivation is very good. It's not that bad, you know. You know, very important to motivation. If your motivation, you know, the parents get angry with kids. The motivation, they don't want the kids very bad. They're good, right? They don't want the kids, you know, doing terrible things. Therefore, they get angry. For us, we angry each other. We say, wow, he doesn't like me, she doesn't like me. Oh, I want to die. You know, this is better motivation. Therefore, all the time, very important. You know, Mahatma Gandhi said, don't looking everywhere. Don't listen all the things. Don't talk too many things. You know, gossip. If you're looking everywhere, you can find also people have some wrong motivation. You always see the wrong directions, wrong, you know, called actions. Then you listen, then you can hear many things. Then you can give message here to that, there to here, then to Karo. Santama.
Slander.
Yeah. Here message go there message go there. They makes you make very bad karma. This come from you say, I want to better, I want to do that, I want to, you know, always me. Therefore, try to a little bit come on me. It's very important. Okay? Then we go to the text. Today I think verse 35. 근데 다 근데 다 숨주 송아 바티 그러와 당가서 문제가 돼서 못 보여 그러와 마음이 쳤다 지세 잠비세 라마라서 네네 도전을 놓고 봐 다는 Kaya Yeni, you must ask.
So the verse 35 reads, When I wander far from home like a helpless person, it is a weapon of my own evil deeds. Turn upon me for driving spiritual teachers and others from their homes. From now on I shall not expel anyone from their home.
What the Tande and the Musashi Moseva, Rangi, Rangi the Nematoba, Rand the Senator Nematoba, suggestion they are pa, Jamrogoa. And then Raya. And that's also Kawayana and Kanduchi, Suzo Kawadesate and the Womepa, and the Mejanjipa and the Wamich, Wayujinipa, such a symbol of Pochua, and the Suzum Kare, Yobochua. I am Mendoja the Mura Lakachigo, the young was.
So, it says like, with no control of our lives, we may come to be exiled from our home, and to be wandering in strange places. And so even if we don't want, we are forced to go out of our country, like other country taking over the country and making you leave the country, or capturing you and taking you to the different countries, to make you a slave and things like that. So all these are the result of our own karma, of having created and of having created similar to that, like having expelled others from their homes.
And the Shandakarora, Shanda Katavi, Takatsemboga, Pombo, Suzuka Tromba, the Pombo the Negaya, Nawale Deco, the name was.
And without any choice, sometimes we have to live under the control of these cruel people, like cruel ministers and cruel owners and so forth.
What did the Tatu Kajin was and the young Haman running. Watch your TV, that's all the Nishway, some so watch with the material reservoir. The covers and the Lamada, Penchelas of it, and the Pamanamna, Tana, the Loichi, and the Suzu Dental Democh watching the party into the Pojava, and the nation Bala Pojava, and Kata Chujava, and the nothing. And nothing in the party chicha Kata, or the Jeshi in Revala, that's all the young Tama. Kata Churo. Nation the Trochu, Nation the Trova. So watch I pick up later. So watch I punch it down the door. She Lamada, Pincheta, Merchant, Tana Toloya, to the death of the Macho, so the nation the Tawa. Sawa is a Tramala Payo, Trama is a Savala Payo, and the Lengama Mambo, Savindeva. That's what they want is.
And so this is the result of the karma that we have created in the past by making others to go away from where they love to live. Like at the time, in the past, we were born as a minister, as a big powerful person. At that time, when we had the power and control, we made others to move away. So like our spiritual teachers, like the spiritual teachers, not necessarily our spiritual teacher, but any kind of spiritual teachers, or anybody, or making others to be gone from others, like in the family, you talk bad about this sibling to other one, and then other one makes this sibling to leave, right? So using the slandering words, when you make people be separated and make one to leave the other one and so forth. And even like forcing the animals, down to the animals, like forcing them to leave their abode and making them to leave, and then so that you can have the place there. So like when there is some kind of animals living there, and because you want to build something there for yourself, and then you force the animal, you drive the animals away, and so you can have the place there for yourself. So that even that kind of things. So and even though we think that's not a big deal, but this kind of things can cause us to be driven away from our loved ones and our loved place and so forth in the future. And so sometimes, even though we don't want, we are forced to leave, forced to go away and so forth, right?
이나에 땅도 카트 그셔 카트는 여기 쇼들 뭐 용것도 와 어떤 저 지와 가마다 수수 같은 뭐 카트 중에 내가 다 소리 한 거래서
and so so this is the result, this is the result that we have to we are forced to leave or go to the place where we don't want to go and so forth. That's the result of action that we have performed by causing others to leave.
그래서 단도 좀 나스면 좀 뭐요 그래서 나스면 좀 되는 거 나스로 선점아 나스로 로
그러나
바카가지 선점아
담아들어.
어떤 데다 참아주도 하고 요와탕에 가서 뭐 올라서 맞
So you know the slandering, right? What it means in here, right?
근데 이제 때까지 sabsabsho chego te pesa chego ninga tamo chego.
And sometimes we might even not know we're slandering and saying something that we are not sure what we're not saying about. We're not knowing what we're saying about and causing that may cause others to be separated from each other. And so we have to watch our speech all the time.
근데 레사서도 레라고 싫어하대. 레사서도 빼려고 그랬어.
Creating cause, creating the karma is very easy.
저랑 셈라야. 저 르바죠 셈라야. 아니 콜라야. 가서도 다 가서. 다 소소 막아서 해와이나. 콜라야 지금까지 내와지 찍고 언덕 상황으로 지금까지 그 매워서 그것은 그런 거 근데 되다와이나. 이길에 사살로.
So if you find somebody that you don't like and you have this wish, I want to destroy this person, I want to cause harm to this person. If you just think like that, even though you didn't do anything, you didn't say anything, but just by thinking like that, which is the ill will, right? Just by thinking like that, you have created a karma.
안 빼셔야 되네. 다음에 야, 다 가서 간지 쿠콜라 두셔지 제고도 다 미팅 ngal ne ching da ti kola nga duja ji chego do duja ji lam ko do samden sama den nya sa ko shida ga nyeda na ko le sa de yo
so even if you're lying down in your bed not doing nothing but just thinking that I must do something bad to this person like that so just having that thought while lying down in the bed you have created a karma
lo de da nga do de de sama nga do samla dam ra sha do
so like when we were just sitting there doing nothing now so much thoughts come in our mind, right?
그래서 삼수처럼 시작하나 저는 못 사야지 시험 못 하거든 뭐 시작도
and many of the thoughts that come up in our mind are embarrassing, right? We cannot even share with other people.
나도 수고돼야 돼. 나도 풀라고는 근데 각 때마다 나도 뭐 시작도 어떤 데다 레라고 슈레다 사도 그래서
and so even if we're sitting here but just by thinking having that kind of thought we can create a karma. So creating karma is so easy like that.
다때만 봐 녀야 야 다들 더블래야 심지까지나 컨트롤하지 대화다 담아쇼 동아도 잡아쇼 너 something 개울에 사대 그러더라고.
And same with the positive action, while you're lying down, if you think about sentient beings and wish them to be happy and wish them to be free from suffering, then just by thinking like that, you create a positive karma.
다 가디나 네가 다 쓰디 라베토디 간제 참아 시와서 현장 말에 대셔와이나 소소라 딘저거든 종거리 해서라 만들어진다 카타고와 만들어진다 네 가가지는 로고와 만들어진다 내가 지거든 뭐 모용 그래서
And so this is again talking about slandering, the disadvantages of the slandering. So if we are not careful about what we say, and then we may end up creating a slandering, and then we may experience the result of doing that as being separated from our loved ones in the future.
다시로 가서 좀 되지. 사대라서 만들 주베데 담트 좀 뜨죠. 마송아. 랭은 뜨자는 거 봐야 담트라서. 상와시 하세요.
And then the verse 36 says, when calamities occur like frost and hail, It is the weapon of my own evil deeds, and turn upon me for not properly guarding my vows and moral conduct. From now on, I shall keep my vows and moral conduct pure.
What? 다들 가서 용거 다 가서 심마 말이 심마들이 요 말았습니다. 다 가서 삼성 같이 수수 싸만지 만들면 뭐 용용도 하셨다.
And so the calamities, right? That event that caused great harm, so that can happen, right? That can happen a lot. So it happens a lot in the fields, the farmers, in the farms, in the fields. So we don't have any farmers here, right?
이나 다 나눠서 지금까지 문제전데 지금 소소가 아니 지금 제노제 바사이도와 아니 소소가 배치 딱 맞아와 아니 소소가 배는 방법용도 와서와.
And also there are so many times in that we are not able to enjoy, the prosperities or the wealth that we have earned, by working so hard. Not able to, use it for ourselves, and we lose it.
뭐다도 가져서는 제왕하면은 랑가 라마다 담승 냠선 봐 되긴데 왜 그래서 처진다 kelebe 담승나 처진 마소와 되긴데 왜 그래서.
And so this is the result, of the negative karma created by breaking the vows that we have taken, from our gurus and so forth. So this is the result of not keeping the vows purely.
아니 다 처좀서나 간지 소수가 샘 요목을 해서 파 송게들 처좀서 봐. 송게들. 아니 소수가 샘 요목을 마소나 아니 근데 다 용거를 봐.
So the morality, the definition of the morality is the mind that guards, the mind that guards, from the delusions. So making sure that mind doesn't follow the delusions. So that mind that guards, is the morality, right? So if we don't guard the mind, then it may, just go astray and break all the promises, do all the things that we're not supposed to do, and so forth, because of not guarding our mind, right? And therefore, then this is what happens. So this is the result of not guarding our mind or not keeping our vows purely.
남중아도 틀어서나 이제부터 다 넘어질나. 대마도 좀 소매와로 지금 도와서 맞지. 근데 말해서 봐.
So when we talk about the morality, the moral conduct, it doesn't mean that you have to have taken some kind of vow and you strive to keep that purely. So doing that is practicing morality. That is not necessary to be like that. Just guarding your mind, is morality.
배차차와이나 당간도 개념이 또 맞잖아. 아니 다 창마도 생각도 그러와. 다 소리 마도네 셈 송와들라 다 좀 송서로 봐. 창마도 와들라.
So when you have taken a vow, so for example, you have taken a vow and a lay vow not to drink, and then guarding your mind from drinking, is practicing morality, right?
what 배테나지 셈 녀모발 판 로마치와지 녀모이 제마도 제마치고 송와들라 좀 설송와들라.
And so just like that, the moral conduct would be, in this case, the moral conduct would be the mind, guarding the mind and not letting it, follow the delusions.
어디 되다 소소가 라마라 담승냐 받아. 아니 소소 켈랑샤베게 아니 소소 샹세 상하이 도마카리 남도도 야보 마서와 있나? 아니 다 단대 되기가 아니 소소 만대요전데 소소 지금 강요화돼 간지 최소션으로 봐. 배제 담아도 받는 몸 연구를.
And so whatever vows and commitments that we have taken from our gurus and so forth, we should keep them purely. So if we don't do that, if we don't keep them purely, or if we break them, then this is the result that we're going to experience. The calamities, like the frost and hail can happen, and the things that we have earned, with the hard work, can get lost and so forth.
어디 다시로 가서 소디 받은 너가 제일 좋은 포인트 전다 괜찮 저와 맞이 벨랭은 터절는 거 다는 괜찮 달라 좀 마셔서 다는 초전 달라 좀 마셔 초전 달라 좀 마셔 들어와.
Okay, so and then the verse 37 is just when I, a greedy person, lost my wealth, it is the weapon of my own evil deeds turned upon me for not giving charity or making offerings to the three jewels. From now on, I will jealously, no, just kidding. Like jealously make offerings. Says I will zealously make offerings and give charity. So talking about when I, a greedy person, so people like who always do all the things they can do to make success, to become a success in their business, right? And so to become success in their business, they will do anything they can. Like they will tell a lie, they will cheat, they will and cause harm to others and so forth. So they do all these things to become success in their business. Yet they don't become success. So no matter how hard they work and whatever means they apply, they never become successful. They're always deprived of wealth. So there are people like that, right? Some people, they don't work hard without working hard at all. They can get everything they want. And so some people, they're like, we can see like that, right? So that is because of out of miserliness, not making offering to the above gurus and Buddhas, and not giving charity to the below the beggars, animals and so forth, and not making offerings in the middle to the sanghas and so forth. So that's because of not making any of these charities to any of the beings out of miserliness. So the reason why we don't give away to others is because of miserliness, right? Thinking that I will not have enough, for myself, So thinking like that, then we tend to not give, to others, right? And so it's always I, right? So the thing is that I may be, left with nothing. If I give away everything, I may be left with nothing, and I may be, hungry, I may be, poor and so forth. So it's always thinking I. So the Kadamba masters used to always, watch the eye and see what the eye is doing, what the eye is thinking. And so then one day, this so Kadamba Kishida, so So anyway, one of the Kadamba master at the previous time, right? So before he became a Kadamba master, so he was just an ordinary person. So at that time, then he was sitting in a row with all these people, right? And then this benefactor who was offering a curd, to everybody, yogurt, right? Curd to everybody, and then they were pouring, from the bucket they were pouring there. And then when he was coming, then he was at the bottom of the row. And then he thought, by the time when he reached here, maybe the bucket will be empty and I will have nothing, for me.
And during that time, the tika when goes on, tanga left something. You could pour the makamba jamde and go to the rest.
And then at that time, so he was still a practitioner, right? So, and then he said, "Oh, this eye came up again." So he thought, and then he turned his ball upside down, carve it upside down, and then just sit there like that
아니
to go against the eye.
근데 쇼르긴 될래서는 저 nga 쇼 동사 그 쇼 동사들라 그랬어.
And so he said, why don't you turn up your ball? And he said, no, the eye already had a share.
근데 nga 강도 그렇지 따대가 나도 그때나 다도면 왔어.
And so that's how we should be looking at eye.
근데 이자다
But we're not able to look at that way, right?
Yeah, we always follow I check we everywhere, right? Then we have a lot of problems coming. 근데 이자다 아직 심바동 좋아하거든 땅은 좀 다 지금 오늘 소소가 지금 요즘에 땅을 쓰면 하더니 담소용 같은데랑 말해서 봐. 야 나는 줘봐다. 아니 건조로 좀 봐. 야 나도 말은 줘봐다. 아니 마방걸로 심바세 된심이야. 강가 저도 긴로 말했어.
And so when you're giving, it doesn't mean that you have to give everything, right? So everything you have, doesn't have to be given away.
너 배나 니도 들어와나 있지 가로. 있지 들어와. 니도 샴바다 있지. 아니 들어가긴 좋아. 또 좋아 나만 못 보였어.
So when you make offerings, the giving, right? So giving is also a thought, So the thought to give is the giving, so when you are making offerings, like you make offerings in the pujas, and when you make offerings, there is actually arranged offerings on the table, and then there is a mentally, fabricated or mentally imagined offerings.
그래봐. 답변은 무슨 시험에 저도는데 변한 조회게 매도모 못 시험도 와서 내가 당근 라마 검조 상지도 상지도 미실한 최배야 못 시험자 지단 수준 좋아나 대다 무슨 집에 수수 제어말 되게 수수라 된 조회 다 비비가 더 그래서
So actually arranged offerings are offerings that you arrange on the table, the flowers, the water, the butter lamps, and so forth, right? The lamps, the incense, and so forth. So all these things, and so actually arranged offerings. So those are actually arranged, like physically arranged. You can see them there, and when you see other people have arranged in that way, then you can also make offerings, even though you didn't do anything, to arrange it there, but you can still offer, just by thinking that, oh, there was so nice stuff there, and I offer this all, to the three jewels like that. And if you think like that, then that becomes offering as well.
아니 나도 맨날에서 말 리자보라 샤림 pompo 하죠. 아니 티에나 세도 르더 마보에 다 셈그 파트네 핑도 왔어.
And the same with when you're making mandal offerings, and you imagine the whole Mount Meru and the four continents and the gods and the offering goddesses and so forth, right? So all this, you mentally imagine, and make offerings.
아니 사자들의 사자 기본으로 되는 거는 신화 야보 추야보들은 다 라마금 주장하지. 최담잖아. 아니 좋은 거였어.
And also you can make offerings, of the the mountains, hills, the meadows. It's a beautiful place that you see. It's just such a nice place, such a beautiful place, and I offer this, to the three jewels like that. If you think like that, that becomes offering as well.
왔다 미치기 샤와야 보지 세계 변화야 조합이나 될 지탱하시나요? 소설된 조합이 프롬도 배도 그래서.
And so also if somebody is offering that, somebody is making offering, right, and a great offering, and then you rejoice to that person's practice of making offering, and you also create the same amount of merit by rejoicing in that person's practice of making offering.
다들 좋아지. 다 심바세인데 와 심바세 가상의 쉬에 맞춰서 칼라 띠띠네 되는 주변하나 소수 샬라 마시고 그냥 조합이었다요. 단 좋아라고 이제 뒤안 조합이다나 안에 상제도 전에 kinro 말했으나 소수 샘기 띠니가 양산내가 조합이고 그래서.
And so then also you can make offerings of your food, the food and drink that you take, the first portion of it, or first, you offer this, to the three jewels, right? When you offer that, when you make offering of that, they don't actually take away your food, right?
그렇죠. 안에 소수 지금 사마되게 쭉 가야 받에 다음에 상제도 상주쌤 시간 조인 남아다는 사마이나 다 좋은다고 그랬어요. 그 드마로 제전에 지나고 말 왔어.
And of course, you have to really think, honestly think from your mind that you're making offerings, right? And otherwise, just sitting there saying prayers and with your eyes closed, pretending like you're doing very intensive offering and practice of offering doesn't become offering. But you really have to think from your mind, then it becomes offering.
아니 소셜 취해 가려야 다 수수 수보라 다 지금 semchen 담나도 마음을 던져라야 지금 뱀배시다. 아니 심바 인생에 그런 거 그냥 심바도 그랬어.
And then also you can imagine feeding the animals, or the beings, the germs inside your body, and then that also becomes a practice of giving.
그러와 아니 샤가 취해 가려야 야 소수 수보다 semchen 팬도 제거하는 수보다 단도 야보고 되고 대체다 semchen 팬도 제거지는 게 갈아서겠나 아니 갈아대야 다 고개행 못 빠지는 그랬어. 대만에 봐지 땅아지 수보 야바 수보 야보 남한테 어떤 영화지 사와이나 아니 때 되고 잘 그랬어.
And so you can think that I'm going to eat this food just to maintain the body, so that I can use it to work for the benefit of other sentient beings, or to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of other sentient beings. I need to do the practice. To do the practice, I need this body. In order to keep this body alive, I'm going to eat this food. So the ultimate purpose of eating the food is for the benefit of sentient beings. If you think like that, then that really becomes beneficial of eating. Then your eating becomes also positive. Otherwise, if you think that I'm going to eat so that I can become strong, I can become powerful, I can look good, and so forth. With attachment like that, with attachment and jealousy like that, then all that eating becomes non-virtuous action.
뭐듯이 근데 심발라야 취지 심바 문지 받자지 심바 아니 상승 심바세요 뭐 보여서와.
So the giving, also there's like the giving of the Dharma teaching, giving of material things, and giving of the refuge, right?
그러와 아니 삼반남도 끝나는데 딱 고도지 팬세고 끝나셔요 추수리식 바 고다때바나 다 취지 심바도 그랬어.
And so out of a great thought, altruistic thought, if you give a teaching to somebody, you explain about the teaching to somebody, even a single word of teaching to somebody, then that becomes a giving of Dharma teaching.
그러와 네 취지 마치. 근데 상승 심바데다 소소라 친구니 강요와 삼반남도는 비와이나 다 저와이나 네 상승 심바로와.
And of course, giving a material thing, which is what we normally say is giving, right? So anything like any material things that we give, like money, clothes, possession, and so forth. So all these things given, is the material giving. Material giving.
아니 문지 받자비 심바나 다 샘지지 간지나 간지 솔라인가요나 되는 바줘야가 답이시나 아니 문지 받자비 심바스.
So then the giving of a refuge or protection, is like, protecting any sentient beings. Like if there's an insect, that's about to die, in the water, you pick it out from the water and put it in a dry place so that it will live, and so forth. So that kind of, practice also becomes giving of protection or giving of refuge.
어떻게든 제 시바에는 나도 니만 내지 근데 주든지 답시 강체화돼 개는 걸 봐제 제요로.
So if we know, we can turn everything that we do, within 24 hours of the day into Dharma practice.
속에 야란도 다 드린 거는 아시면 시면도 다 빼버려 다 드린 거는 되세대 샘잖아 팬백시들 나와 내가 제일 그런 거 보거나 니만 니가 강화 재화되고 가이 장점생 그런 거다 그런 거 되게 강화 재화돼 다 개원도 그래서.
And in the morning when you wake up, you and you say, "Oh, I'm very lucky, very fortunate that I didn't die last night. It's all by the kindness of my guru," and so forth. And I'm going now this day that I'm still alive. This day I'm going to spend by benefiting other sentient beings, just for the benefit of other sentient beings, like that. If you think like that, then the whole day, the thing that you do in the whole day becomes positive.
아나 고다 니데 삼아야한테 다 라마당 산제당 자적그 sem부 가데 변현체 안데 계슴지 저는 게셔 니셔와나 니가가 개와레스.
And also in the night when you go to sleep, if you sleep with the positive thought, with the virtuous thought, and by thinking or remembering the kindness of the gurus and so forth, then all that night, whole night sleep, becomes positive.
아니 녀뭐 식탐도 됐어. 단 두바자게 쇼나 아니 끌몰라야 So
in the daytime, if you have to fight, and if you fight, with the thought to benefit, with the beneficial thought, then it's okay to fight.
But we cannot bet. We say, I want to win. I'm the right person. They do wrong. What is the tongue of the children? 제시는 개화전에 치안도 이 군안의 치안도 사나의 치안도 레카치는 치안도 근데 메워지면 도와서.
So everything that we do in the 24 hour, we can turn that into Dharma practice, right? The eating can be turned into Dharma practice, sleeping can be turned into Dharma practice, walking can be turned into Dharma practice. So there isn't anything that cannot be turned into and cannot be turned into Dharma practice. So everything that we do can be turned into Dharma practice. But if we don't do, then nothing can be turned, right?
Okay. 어디 되자. 아니는 다 단다 그러나 소소식 제당 변조 동조고 지금 봉대 와대 그러나 다 개왕 아마 야라란 저와 마비 겐들라 얘기 아마지 삼절하지만 마시 근데 다는 니마 되는 정도에 다지 야라란 저와 배저 방고를 심바다야 아니 겐들라 얘기지야 다 소리쟁이 사마로 다 다제고 그래서.
And so, so whatever things that we lose in this life, the wealth and so forth, fame and so forth, is all because of not practicing charity, giving and making offerings and so forth, right? And then we should come to the decision that since from now on, I will always make offerings, and practice charities.
세다질라 가로 세다질라 가디메스, and 세다질라 요디메스 요르스. 세단 첨부는 고집이 뒤지고요 말이지. 세단 첨부는 여비 뒤지고요 말이지.
And so there's a saying that the person with hatred will never be happy, and the person with miserliness will never have enough.
Right? Always I need more. 어디 들이 아니 가디나 당갈 문득 삼다요 말도 봐. 가정 가서 강갈 답배 단주 보시라도 와.
So we always, all of us here, we have a lot, right? So we have everything we need. So we shouldn't think that we don't have enough.
뭐지? 다 쉬어가 섬지 섭제대 다 제중인데 코지 예비세. 아니 그라 zuken지 콘도 두바이 랭은 소절는 거 다는 다는 그래. 라진 나제를 샤스로.
And then in the verse 38, it says, when my companions mistreat me for being ugly, it is the weapon of my own evil deeds turned upon me for venting my rage by erecting ugly images. From now on I shall erect images of gold and be slow to anger.
다 zu상한테 가서 지금 매긴 내제치 버려 zu상 zu야 보대로.
And so the result, as a good body, a beautiful form, is because of building a good images.
And the zuzawana rajin tenche wala nyewan kobiga ta yede jimba ta rajin samala gwa ta ndobaji bare ro.
Having a beautiful form, is a very good quality, to attract all the people around us.
근데 얘나 다 가서 내가 zuga 본도 얘나 같이 텔레도 돼 zunyamba 왕가 매진비가 다 소소라지. 다 그래.
맞죠.
님이시와라. 맨데시와 먹가와시와. 같이 직가로 맘에지와 드리면 뭐 용도 와서 zunyambi 왕기.
And so some people, because of their ugliness, others, will look down on them, right? Look down on them, or tease them, say bad things about them, and so forth, right?
어다때 가르치는 대개와 가만다 상질라서 그 심아. 아니 심아도 다 레바 마셔봐, 야보 마셔봐, 이제 야보 마동와, 이제 두자다와. 아니 라팅이나 라야보 마셔봐. 어떤 적이 다 되고 그래서 도식 되래.
And so that is that's the result of not, making a beautiful form of the Buddhas. Like if you're building, if you're building a statue of a Buddha, then you should build it really nice. If you're drawing or painting a statue, the images, a picture or images of the Buddha, then you have to draw it really well. If you draw it bad or out of anger, out of rage, if you just build it very bad in a bad shape, then you will have a bad form in the future.
대단하다. 예수 뭐 책임도 와서 소소 좀 드시는 라모 어떻게도 어때서 빼 나도 사티야라 라 티자고 티자면 빼니 봐서 그래서
And so nowadays, there are many people who are interested, who are fond of drawing, right, Buddha's images and so forth. But if you don't draw in the right proportion, then there's a risk of creating such kind of negative karma, to have a bad form of body in the future lives. So when we draw the Buddha, images of the Buddha, there is a measurement, so how big, how thick, and how long, and so forth, and the part of the body of the Buddha should be. And there's a description of the measurement of each part of the body, and so you have to draw according to that. Otherwise, you might end up creating negative karma.
다 저도 라게 되게 다 대다지 아니 니네 다 코로사와나 zubu 맞잖아 그래서 다 동해 봐.
And so even if you are not drawing any images of the Buddhas or deities and so forth, but if you are angry, a lot of the times, then you will end up being born as ugly person.
All right. ngando semje kaji ta moina semje be mi kaji ngando mi kangaji ngando jisemena kange ta sebat nyewo chade ba yabo gawo chade ngada tonso chi ngema ya zawa mo kom sheben dawa ani tene gende we bareswa mi kaji ngando 통화다 ngando chi 통화도 되는
down to earth, very, very pleasant, to be around and so forth. So those kind of people, and that's the practice. That's the result of practicing patience or drawing a bit with images of the Buddhas and so forth. Right? And there are some people who are very ugly and who are very bad in nature, and so you don't want to be around them at all. You feel nauseous seeing them and so forth. So that's again, that's the result of the negative karma, such as getting angry towards others all the time, or having erected the statues of the Buddhas and stupas and so forth in a wrong proportion. So the practice of patience is one of the main cause for having a beautiful form. So since we all want to have a beautiful form,
right? People have to put a lot of makeups prepared. But now we all here. Maybe finish that. That level. We don't make up.
And so practice of the patience, will be the best. It's the best or main cause. One of the main cause for having a good form. And so now those people who are ugly, have a bad forms of the body, is the result of having become angry so often in the past. So there's no negative, no negative karma like a hatred, and then there's no austerity or no hardship like a patience. And so we should always be meditating on the loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, and so forth. If we do that, then everybody around us will be happy with us. All the people, even the animals, will be happy with us. So what would we prefer, somebody who is angry with us or somebody who is nice with us?
Right? Not for us, it's nice, right? So when angry, we are not happy. Then the semje tunroichi tenere. Pak yabono chewayana, semje on the tea, yabo ching mid good.
So, of course, we all want to be, have somebody treat us nicely, right? And even the animals wish for that.
And there is 그래서 나 zobate we katu meheta. Zobate 오늘 저녁 냠내 가는 냠내 내가 전부 빼 말했어.
And so the practice of patience, which is very hard, but it's very, rewarding. So if we practice that, then we'll have very good results.
다 잡박 빼는 나 코로나에들 나 잡박 검토 못 하는 것도 되는 거 봤어.
So you might think that people who cause us to become angry, how can we practice patience with them, right?
대급라 인지민지 대도 공부다. 코도라 샤바는 이제 공부 그래서.
So at that time, it's very important to generate loving kindness and compassion towards them.
공투기 냠보 야수데 다네 샤바는 이지니 그래서 샤바는 이지.
And so the best in practice, as an antidote, for hatred, is the loving kindness and compassion.
근데 매직 가려다 다 니자 고랑 말이 미치베 왕기 다 내리 중화래 삼바이나 하는 건도 걸어야 이제 공부를 이제도 다 샴바.
And so we're thinking about the poor situation that person or the being is in, and thinking that the poor person is doing it out of ignorance, out of not knowing, and so forth. Because of that, he's doing all these things. So if we think like that, then we feel compassion towards the person.
근데 뭐 가지고 가도 지금 로바치야기 다 지금 강지 가르쳐 주는 지금 로바치나야. 되게 가서 그거 로바치는 가도 다 노출돼야 돼. 그 제다 마시바 이제 그런 거 제와도 서만도 제다 그 제다 마시고 가도 로바파서 영어도 와.
Sometimes people doing something can cause something for us, and doing something for us can cause us to become angry towards them, right? And so that's, again, you can see from that. So that person is doing for us, he's doing for us, but why do we become angry? It's because the way person did it, right? Even though he's doing for us, but the way person did it, it makes us become angry.
어떤 애다 가디나 지금 삼자야 다 가르쳐 도와이나. 다 이제 지금 공로사 되지나. 다 이제 그 말이 뭐시고 공로지야마도 제자. 다 내리 공로 스치 맞아봐쇼 사마이나. 다 저라 돕침보 교와 돕침보 연 거래.
And so when they do that, right? When they do that, even though they're trying to do good for us, but then they end up doing bad. It's because of not knowing the way to do it right? And so because of not knowing that, then they try their way, and it makes it even worse, right? And so therefore, that kind of people, then you can think that even though he's trying to do it in a really nice way, because of not knowing, he's not able to do it that way, and to make me happy, and then have compassion, sympathy, towards that person, and then wish for that person and all sentient beings, to be free from such kind of ignorance, and be always, happy, and wish them for them to be free from sufferings and like that. So always think like that, and if we think like that, then we don't get angry towards that person.
근데 semje 간데제나야 알아서 죽이질라. 다곧 뭐도 두마다 trande질로들 니제지인세. 아니 대화다 대질로들 샴바지. 아니 대화다 대마 다크 신념으로들 샴주semla 그랬어.
So wishing others to be happy, is the love. Wishing others to be free from suffering, is is compassion, and wishing and saying that I myself, will make them happy and be free from suffering, is bodhicitta.
Okay, like that. Then we don't maybe talk too much. Then we stop here today. Do you have any questions? Any question? Yeah, good.
I have a question. What you said earlier about when we create karma lying down using thoughts. Is it the arising of thoughts that creates the karma, or is it the falling of them? Like grasping at the thoughts and the falling of them in our mind? Because we have flickering thoughts all the time, and then there's a difference between that when we actually follow them.
당어도 녀들도 근데 삼로 다음에 그러면 뒤 레사거를 소라스. And then lesa the samba tamge lesa gorege samlo tele jubana lesa goras.
Niga sagars. Sambada sam juba niga chegars.
Marta.
Samba
tele jugorege the samba tamge lesa goras.
Samba tamge lesa goras.
Yeah, just by merely thinking. Just by mere thought, you create karma.
Mando semtela membatri de jubati ni was. Ane semje tabjida saje toba sho nyame lodrende dedena. Member sem chese, they shan't use them less, Yabusha less. 아니 주바는 다스는 사진 도바시고 뛰는 게 내가 좋으면 개와치 소주치 지할 때는 주바세지 이집지 샤워도 마주 거 그러면 되와나 개와다 타가래 다 무게와다 타가 골래서 하는 거는 주로 그랬어.
So just like the wishing bodhicitta and the engaging bodhicitta, the wishing bodhicitta is just sitting there and wishing to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, thinking they may achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. If you wish that, then that is bodhicitta also, right? The wishing bodhicitta. And just by having that thought, you create a positive karma. And then not only that, but then thinking, okay, and then I have to do and engage in a practice to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. And then when you engage in the practice of giving and so forth, and that becomes the engaging bodhicitta.
그런데 다스는 다 소소치 마가도 제 담이 콜 간지네. 갑자기 자가 그 가를 납고도 저는 그 상다되다. 그 레미가 사대도 콜라.
So even if you're just sitting there doing nothing but thinking that, what should I do to cause harm to this person? What can I do to cause harm to this person like that?
The thing I was wondering is that makes sense to me. Is there a difference between thinking something and then just flickering thoughts that you're not, like I could be thinking of a particular place in my mind, or that is unintentional, and then the other case would be it's just a thought pops in your mind out of nowhere. It's just very flickering. What I'm referring to is those flickering thoughts. Like if you're meditating on, just trying to develop calm abiding, and these thoughts just flicker and you just let them subside.
Mm-hmm.
Is those flickering thoughts is what creates the karma, or is it when you intentionally think them?
Mm-hmm. So you mean like the distractions, right? So some thought comes up, let's say when you're doing your meditation, you think about, tomorrow I have an appointment with the doctor.
No, even more subtle than that, just the flickering of unintentional.
So no, that thought that doesn't create a karma. You have to think, Yeah. So I mean that thought, so tomorrow I have to go to sit down. That's not harmful, right? That's, tomorrow I have to go and kill somebody, like that. If you think like that, then that will be the negative thought. If you think like that, right? So it has to be intentional. It has to be intentional.
When you think, to say, okay, tomorrow I have to go somewhere. I want to lie my boss. I have to go something. Then you are thinking intentionally. You say, I want to do something. I want to lie my boss. I have something wrong. And this is your lie. You really create the negative karma. But you have to just say, sometimes you think, tomorrow I go to a restaurant, I have to eat something. That's not. The consolation of the mobile on the good one came out was.
Yeah.
What I was thinking, that thought arises, I must kill somebody tomorrow. Sometimes it arises as a result of so many past lives of having done it, so it arises flickering.
Yeah.
So what if you're meditating and that arises and you just simply, you are aware of it, you don't follow it, you're just aware, why is that there?
Uh-huh.
And you just let it go and it's no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
It does that, to me, there's a difference between that and when you think it and you say, I must do that.
Mm-hmm.
It is the first part when it arises and you catch it and it just goes. Does that also create a negative karma?
맞아, there's some call 람사 깨진이거든. 다 되게 말았어. 삼바이나. 형님아 그 당복 없었는데 지금 삼제로 되게 레티를 사요.
레티사에 맞텔레 코사게 맞고 다도 건코라로 봤어.
So if you have already, kind of, applied the antidote, to that thought, so you kill that thought already, right? So you don't create any karma in that case.
So even if it arose, you just...
Yeah, that's right. So you say, that's not good, and I should not think like that,
Yeah.
And then that thought is gone. So no longer you don't create negative karma like that. Yeah.
So to me, it's not even just the arisal; it's when you actually hold on to it. Or
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you have to hold it. You say, okay, you just stay here, watch here. Maybe look in the Buddha's face. That I look in the Buddha's face. Just think about tomorrow what happened. Today someone told me very bad words. After told someone something, if intentionally you make the more story, they make it more positive. Then you look in, You don't do anything, just you look in the Buddha's face, you say, oh, Buddha's been a very, benefit of Lord Samjipa is long. Buddha, I wish you all Samjipa become Buddha, just thinking that you really create the positive karma. Create the karma very easily. Right now I'm talking to you guys, I say, oh, I want to come to something to, the students looks at me, I'm very, something scholar, something, who call very nice talking, something, like that. I have motivation there. They look at me very, very good. Then even I talk Dharma, it become complete the negative karma because my motivation is completely wrong. Of, eight worldly, eight Dharma worldlies, right? So I'm talking here. Then you say, I want to go. Even you come stay very hard working, hard, very big passion to you. If you are not very comfortable, I'm staying. Maybe people think I'm a very good student. I'm the best attendance. Your motivation there. Then even you're very hard working, you listen the teaching, but they're not real Dharma. Of course, they're a little bit, what we call,
Yeah, you do create a little bit of good karma, but not really good.
Right? Therefore, motivation is very, very important. Therefore, we always say, first you need to set up perfect motivation, then do action. The last, dedication. Dedication, sometimes you don't know. Then you think, whatever Bodhisattva's dedication, I'm also going to lack that. Then you can read some, any verses. It's good. Then, yes.
I was just listening to everybody talk about, having bad thoughts or whatever. I don't know if I'm on a proper train of thought here, but I was thinking, we really watch our minds. Maybe when we have these bad thoughts, bad little motivations, we can use them as an opportunity to say, okay, so there's that little bit of bad karma, maybe subtle bad karma, something like Ian was saying, flickering. We can use that as an opportunity to say, this is why this is wrong, this is why this is no good, and maybe use it as a way to make good karma. Does that make any sense? So you're uprooting a bad thought in your mind, but you're also trying to, using reasoning or remembering, whatever vows you took to say why this is no good, why this is harmful. So you're taking whatever little subtle negative karma and you're turning it around. I don't know, does that make any sense or no?
So what are you trying to say about that?
So say you have a bad thought, like say you have a bad thought, like you want to steal something, and and you've had that thought, and say you come back, whatever, say those flowers, and then you say, oh, okay, I have that thought. You're honest with yourself that you've had that thought, but you use that as an opportunity to say, this is the downfall of stealing. You use your reason, you use everything. So you acknowledge that you have the thought. You don't just run away from it, but you just use your reason and whatever you've read or whatever vows you have, and you can use that as an opportunity to maybe create good karma over. Do you know what I'm saying? To pull that out. Does that make sense or no? Or does it not work like that? You get what I'm saying?
I can almost understand that.
네 그거 디디가 먼저 딱 교사에 그거 하고 말해봤어 그러다. 그거 삼바이나 다 그거 말해서는 되든 다 때가서 그거 삼바디 딱 교사에 그거 하고 삼바 말해봤어 그래. 그거 하고 말해봤어 그래.
삼바디 그거 하고 그냥 말했어. 간지 대삼년에 막가서 그거 교사로 그러나 다들 맞는 야르서. 그거 사서 그거 교사로 그랬어.
See, that's what we're trying to understand. Why? What do you mean by attacking? Why are you saying this is a good opportunity? Right. We don't really need to have that, right? If we don't have that thought at all, that's better, right? that's better. So
maybe you can try to make the people a little bit get angry. Then you say, okay, not get good
so
opportunity.
what you're trying to say? Well, I don't know. Maybe what you're saying makes us to think like me, think like that. you're trying to create that situation so that you can take the opportunity to create a positive karma.
It's
Yeah.
not like that. It's just like okay, there's an arisal of a bad thought.
Mm.
And rather than run away from it or let it, you say, okay, you kind of use maybe the four
Powerful.
powers, you can use it as an opportunity to say, this is what's there. And you could take this, whatever little subtle negative karma or whatever, and you can use it as an opportunity. Yes, it would be better to not be there, but because we're sentient beings, there's, past lives, this life, the things that have happened. You can use it as an opportunity to cut it, to maybe make it better, good karma. Does that make sense?
다들 간제 전화해야 돼. 드니까 드니 좀 제타한테 저런 게 냠이야 보셔야 돼요. 이나 냠인데 제발 이 좀 밑에 딱 고고 말이야. 간제 드니 상고도 고고 말이야. 이나 디카 드니 각 제도에 냠이야 보랬어.
Yeah, so it is good, to be able to practice in that way at that moment, to have that thought. If you can have that thought, it's very good, to overcome that bad thought, right? So, but you don't have to have that, like you said, it's best if you don't have that thought at all, but when it comes, then, by remembering, the bad disadvantage of that thought, then, apply antidote, to that right away. So that if you can do that, that's really good. Yes.
가는 담보장한테 꼭 그래서 막 직제대로 제와딩 거 레다 조치 싸다더라.
So because when you have that thought of stealing, then you're creating the karma, right? You're creating the karma.
드니데 진짜 싸매와 나 드니 레다 싸고 말아.
So if you didn't have that thought at all, you will not have created the karma.
드니자 딱 그만 자세 야고 말했어. 내가 드나 대거라 건 잠샤샤와나. 아니 또 가르나. 그만 맞지고 손은 소도 싸싸와 이 말어.
But again, when because of our custom to that thought, it may come up, right? So at that time, if you can think, or if you can come up with the mind, things, oh, that's not good, I should not do that, then that's very good.
Okay? Yes.
I don't know if it goes along with what he's saying, and I want to ask Howard if he's saying, if you have a propensity, say, towards anger or aversion of someone, if you have an angry mind, a propensity, common propensity, and later on, you more and more increasingly recognize this is my anger, and you try to stop it as it arises. The propensity is there already, and more increasingly when you see a negative behavior, say anger, instead of yelling this time, you say, I'm going to yell, or whatever. More and more, it dissipates a little more the horizon of that propensity to be angry or to steal, kill your doctor or whatever.
Yeah.
So does it come possible?
One of the yabuchara, that is Jamadin, the Yamata Konosa, less as a Pakchagavana, a Konosa Chochora, and Konosa comes on the Asaya Dujara, outside your Marasan, and Konosa the Kabana, Konosa the Manudoras.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. When you get angry, you catch, identify. Oh, this is not good. I'm getting angry. When you stop, that's very good. That's that thing you want to think on the was.
Yeah, so that's the antidote, right? So you're really, fighting with the delusion at that time.
And that is 가잖아. 가디나 가지 공주기 님이라 삼단다 가서다 공주 마사 팽으로 왔어.
So, the Kodosa, the Kodosa Shimbek of Sotong,
사실까지 깔리 가오셔.
Kaura, the Moran Samtang or Mojara.
담보는 삼단다 공주 마사 와지고 공주 사실까 가도 마 디카둑 짜세다 가서 담아방 가서 빼깔 가오래서.
So, just to add on that, anger, especially on the anger part, so delusions may be not that difficult, but especially the anger is really difficult to apply antidote at the time when it has already arisen. So you have to meditate on the patience or disadvantage of the anger while you're not angry. So while you're not, oh, anger is bad. Oh yes, the anger is really bad. So I should not be getting angry. If I get angry, this happens, that happens, and so forth. So if you think like that, then you can, by thinking like that, then you can stop the anger. And because you have thought that, then when you start to get angry, then it's that thought comes up. So you can do that. But if you haven't prepared, if you haven't thought about the anger as being very bad and so forth before, then when the anger comes at that time, to have that thought is so difficult. It may be possible for high level practitioners, but ordinary people like ourselves, when the anger comes, it just dominates the whole thing. So you can't do anything. But if you have prepared, like right now we're thinking or we're talking, right? So it's bad like that. And then when the anger comes, then we have thought about it, we have talked about it, and at that time may be possible for us to think of the anger as being bad and then stop it at that time. But if you haven't thought or meditated on that before, then to stop at that time is very difficult.
If you stop, it's very good, but it's very hard.
This is related to Howard's question because it now I won't put words in your mouth.
No.
I think also what he was asking is if you have a negative thought, if you notice a negative thought, can you use that as an object of meditation and learn from that thought?
Transform it.
Like you look at a negative thought and you can learn from it by seeing its disadvantages. And I remember an example His Holiness gave when he was talking about meditating on the emptiness of the eye, and he said the eye arises strongly when you're angry and when you're afraid. And if you put yourself mentally in a situation when you're angry in the past and you can feel the anger arise, you think about how strong the eye is appearing, and then you meditate on the absence of the eye, or the emptiness of the eye. He said you could use that harmful thought to look at it and kind of gain an understanding of it more.
It's very conceptual.
Is that possible? Is that my interpretation? Right?
No, what I understand is that the eye becomes vivid or more clear when you're angry.
Yeah.
Sure.
Therefore, you can.
So you don't really see the absence of eye. You see the eye at that time.
I and other,
Yeah. You can see more clearly that.
Yeah. So that one is to understand the eye. They said that eye doesn't exist. So the eye that does not exist. To understand the I that does not exist, you have to understand the I, right? So if you understand the I, if you don't see the I, then if you don't see the I that does not exist, you can't abandon that.
It's hard to realize.
Yeah, just like the example, if you don't know the thief, you can't catch it. So just like that. So, that example that you gave is to make you see the I, not to see the absence of the I.
But use that as a skillful tool.
Search for it. To try to find where actually is it.
Yes.
And then it leads to eventually.
The same thing.
Yeah. So so you were saying that gives you the example, opportunity, right? So gives you that. But Geshe was saying that you don't have to have that in that case. Of course, in the sense of the I, you have to have that because without that you will be not able to see that I doesn't exist. That you will not be able to see the I that does not exist, right? So in order to see that, you have to do that, Well, similar to that, something, very dramatic, to make you see the I, right? But but in every cases, you don't have to have that thought. Yeah.
When you get angry with, I have to do that. That time you can find. You have to check. How can I find my I? What kind, When you get angry something, that's at that time to check clearly to I, how I exist, like that. Okay, thank you. Now we stop. Okay, thank you. Chanting Master.
Page 39. Sashi Bogi Chu talk to make purging. Idam Guru Radha Mandala Kamniryatayam. From my two collections, vast estates that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my lives, my years